Do you have a boatload of equity in your home right now and you're convinced values are going to drop? We're going to explain why you need to sell right now to hedge your losses. Hey there, Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We've been helping buyers and sellers make the best data-driven decisions in this crazy market, and we're here for those who have equity, think the market's going to drop, and are willing to downsize a little bit to save that equity. And remember, we can't give tax or legal advice, but for the most honest and up-to-date real estate advice, subscribe to this channel. So if you're ready to dive into the numbers on how to hedge your losses, hit that like button and let's get started. So it's been a little while since I've been in front of the whiteboard. I'm glad to be back. We're going to dive into some math. I promise it's not too tough, but it is easier to show. And at the end of the day, we're going to show a few different things, namely that if you really believe values are going to drop and you're in a house that doesn't work for you, that's too big, you absolutely must, to hedge your losses, sell that house and downsize. So let's run through some numbers. We're going to set up a scenario. You can modify the numbers as you see fit. This is a home that was purchased years ago for $500,000. It is now, after the cost of sale, netting out to $1 million. And for the sake of argument, what we're going to say is that they had $500,000 in financing against the home when they sold it. So that is an important point that we're going to run into here when we discuss what happens when you finance at today's interest rates. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They didn't lock it in at the absolute bottom, but they got 3% when they did that cash out refi. So their principal and interest at 3% per month, the payment was approximately $21.08. So that doesn't include insurance. It doesn't include property taxes. We're not going to add those in right now because they're downsizing. Those numbers theoretically will go down as well. If you're in the state of California and you take advantage of Prop 19, you're over 55, you can transfer your property tax basis at the lower basis here and take it over to that other house. So that's important to point out, that other costs when you downsize are going to go down as well. Utilities would be another example. Theoretically, this is going to be less to cover for costs for electricity, heating, cooling, etc. than a bigger house. So there are other advantages to downsizing. You actually will find that you're going to save money in other areas. Okay, so the $500,000 in financing means that they walked away from the deal with $500,000 in cash, and because of the fact that they took advantage of Section 121 in the IRS code, their CPA helped them. They had lived there at least 2 out of 5 years. It was their primary residence. They're able to take that money tax-free, and we have some content on Section 121 that you should watch. So they have in the bank $500,000. They're going to take that money and they're going to go downsize. And let's say that they find a house that's $750,000. It fits their needs. It's going to work. So they have a couple of different options on what they could do with that $500,000 that's in the bank. One would be they put that all down on the new house. So if they do that and their loan's $250,000, and let's say interest rates have gone through the roof and they are at 8%. Even if that happens, they have a $250,000 loan for this smaller house that fits their needs. Their payment's going to be $1,834 a month for principal and interest. Don't forget that some costs went down. Insurance went down, maybe property taxes went down. But obviously their monthly payment went down because they took that $500,000 and they put it into the house. So that's an important thing they could do. Another thing they could do is they could go ahead and just use half of that. So they put $250,000 in the bank, keep it there, and then with the rest of it, they put it down on this house and they finance it. Now interest rates, again, have gone up. So let's use 8%. So what that means is their payment now is going to be $36.69. So there is a delta. There's more money they have to pay each month. It's about $1,560 difference more that they're paying per month for the mortgage payment. But don't forget, they have $250,000 in the bank. They can use some of that money to help offset that extra $1,560 they have per month. So here's where it gets interesting, where we start to factor in what happens when values drop. And if you're considering downsizing and you believe values are going to drop, you may want to sell right now and do something just like this. And here's why. So going back to our original example, they walked away with $500,000 in equity. So let's talk about that. So that is the number that they put in the bank after they closed on the home, it paid off their financing, they didn't owe any taxes against it. So $500,000 is what they walked away with. Let's see if we can protect as much of that equity as possible when values start to drop. So let's talk about drops in value. Nobody knows for sure. We've heard numbers like 10%, we've heard 20%. We'll look at those scenarios quickly here. The thing that you need to remember is that essentially that's an average for all the drops in values. It will not be the same necessarily in every neighborhood. It won't be the same at every price point, but it's fair to use a 10% or 20% number across the board. So do you see where I'm headed with this? It doesn't take much to figure it out. Let's take 10% off a $1 million house. Let's say they didn't downsize. They decided to stay put and 10% came off their $1 million house. So now they lost $100,000 in value on the $1 million house. What did they lose on their downsized house, their $750,000 house? They lost $75,000. Again, very easy to do when we talk about 20% drops. It's $200,000 and it's $150,000. So you can see where I'm headed with this. To hedge your losses, you need to downsize. You need to live in the smallest house that makes sense for you, the least expensive house that makes sense for you when the market is going down. When the market's going up, it makes sense to own as much house as you can, as much as you can afford. So if values are going up 5, 10, 15, 20%, obviously you want a bigger number to start with. When they're dropping, you want a smaller number to start with. Because what ends up happening is that it's eating into the equity. So if values drop 20% off a $1 million house, their equity of $500,000 is now down to $300,000. In this case, in the $750,000 house, the value, the loss in equity is $150,000. So they're actually hedged and they keep $350,000. They keep $50,000 more because they're in a smaller house. So hopefully that makes sense. I know we ran through a lot of different numbers. At the end of the day, if you really believe values are going to drop and it makes sense for you to downsize, you're living in a house that's too big for you right now, you're essentially flushing equity, flushing money down the toilet if you don't downsize as values start to drop. So when they were going up, you live in his most expensive house you can because that whole number is going to go up. But when they're dropping, you've got to figure out a way to get into something that's smaller and works for you so that you can go ahead and keep as much of that equity that you've earned in these crazy times of values going up. Let us know what you think about this strategy of selling right now and downsizing to quickly save your equity before it starts to disappear. Is this a strategy you're going to take advantage of? Is there something I'm missing in these numbers that you think I need to factor in as well? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget that we're real estate agents. We can help you in Southern California and beyond. Make sure you reach out if you're considering taking advantage of this strategy. Make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter so you don't miss out on topics like this, plus a whole lot more for buyers and sellers and tenants and landlords. And check out this next video you're not going to want to miss on the housing market and where it's headed. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we want to hear from you.